The Galactic Academy of Advanced Sciences floated in the neutral zone between 7 star systems, a testament to the fragile peace that bound the interstellar coalition together. Within its crystalline halls, the brightest minds from dozens of species studied side by side, though unity was more theoretical than practical. Elsa moved through the corridor with the fluid grace characteristic of her species, the Valorians. Her bioluminescent skin shifted from deep violet to contemptuous blue as she spotted him again. Farhat, the human. He sat alone in the observation deck, staring out at the stars with that peculiar intensity his kind seemed to possess. Still dreaming of your primitive homeworld? Elsa's voice carried the melodic quality that made Valorian speech sound like music, though her words dripped with venom. Tell me, human, do you miss swinging from trees? Farhat didn't turn from the viewport. His dark eyes remained fixed on a distant yellow star, barely visible among the millions that painted the cosmic canvas. That's not quite how evolution worked, Elsa, but I wouldn't expect accuracy from someone who's never bothered to learn. Her skin flashed angry crimson. Humans had only joined the coalition 50 years ago, the newest and most primitive species to be granted membership. They possessed no natural bioluminescence, no telepathic abilities, no electromagnetic sensitivity. Their technology was centuries behind, their lifespans laughably short, their physical capabilities utterly unremarkable. Your species is a joke, she continued, moving closer. You can't even breathe methane or survive temperature extremes. You need special suits just to visit half the worlds in the coalition. Tell me, what exactly do humans contribute besides mediocrity? Stubbornness, mostly, Farhat replied, finally turning to face her. There was something in his expression, not anger, but a profound sadness that unsettled Elsa more than rage would have. And the ability to survive things we shouldn't. The next day, their xenobiology professor, an ancient draconid named Velthor, announced a field assignment that sent murmurs through the class. The expedition to Kepler 442b has been approved. We'll be studying the recently discovered ruins of the precursor civilization. 20 students will be selected. Elsa's skin brightened with excitement. The precursors were the galaxy's greatest mystery. An ancient race that had vanished millions of years before any current civilization had achieved spaceflight. To study their ruins was the opportunity of a lifetime. When the selection list appeared, her elation dimmed slightly. Farhat's name was on it too. The journey to Kepler 442b took 3 weeks through hyperspace. Elsa spent most of it with her own kind, pointedly ignoring the human who spent his time reading historical databases and physical training in the ship's gymnasium. She couldn't understand why he exercised so obsessively when the planet they were visiting had been confirmed as perfectly habitable for all species aboard. They landed in a vast valley where geometric structures of impossible age jutted from crimson soil. The ruins hummed with residual energy that made Elsa's skin tingle. For 2 days, the students documented and analyzed, making discoveries that would fuel dissertations for years. On the 3rd day, everything went wrong. The ground began to shake violently. Ancient defense systems, dormant for eons, suddenly activated. Energy barriers sprang up, separating the students into isolated groups. Elsa found herself trapped with Farhat and 2 other students in a section of ruins that was rapidly filling with toxic gas, a security measure designed to kill intruders. The other students collapsed quickly, their respiratory systems overwhelmed. Elsa felt her own lungs burning, her bioluminescence flickering erratically. She fell to her knees, skin fading to a deathly gray. Through failing vision, she saw Farhat move. He wasn't panicking. Instead, he was running toward the barrier with terrifying purpose, his face set in grim determination. He slammed his body against it repeatedly, each impact leaving burns on his exposed skin. The barrier was designed to repel matter. Touching it was agony. But he didn't stop. Stupid human, Elsa gasped, consciousness fading. You'll die. Maybe, Farhat grunted, hitting the barrier again. Blood ran from his nose and ears from the neural feedback. But I'm from a world that tried to kill us for 3 million years. We learned to hit back. He pulled something from his pack. A simple chemical explosive, crude by coalition standards but effective. He placed it against the barrier's generator node, something Elsa's superior Valorian training should have identified but hadn't. Even dying, he was thinking, calculating, refusing to surrender. The explosion shattered the barrier. Farhat dragged Elsa and the others out of the toxic zone. his movements mechanical, fueled by pure determination despite his injuries. He worked on them with emergency medical supplies, his hands steady even as his own body trembled from trauma and neural damage. When rescue arrived an hour later, they found Farhat collapsed beside the students he'd saved, barely breathing but alive. His last conscious act had been to ensure Elsa's rebreather was secure. 3 days later, Elsa stood in the medical bay, her skin a subdued, thoughtful purple. Farhat was awake, healing with the surprising resilience that characterized his species. She held a datapad containing everything she'd researched about Earth in the past 72 hours. Ice ages, mass extinctions, predators that hunted in the dark, diseases that killed millions, natural disasters that reshaped continents. And through it all, humanity, soft, fragile humanity, had not just survived but prevailed. They had conquered a world that offered them nothing but hardship, developing technology, culture, and art while fighting for every breath. They were the only species in the coalition that had evolved as persistence hunters, capable of chasing prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. The only species that could run marathons, survive broken bones, adapt to any climate on their world through nothing but learned behavior and simple tools. "I owe you an apology," Elsa said quietly, her skin shifting to respectful gold. "And my life." Farhat smiled, though it clearly hurt. "You don't owe me anything. But maybe you could stop calling us primitive." "Primitive?" Elsa's skin rippled with something like amusement. "No, I think terrifying is more accurate." She paused, then added softly, "Your planet tried to kill you for millions of years. It failed. The ruins tried to kill us. They failed too, because you were there." She placed the datapad on his bedside table. On it was her newly submitted thesis proposal. Evolutionary Advantages of Death World Species. Why Humanity's Primitive. Origin makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. "Perhaps," she said, her skin displaying the Valorian color of deep respect. "The rest of us have had it too easy for too long. We forgot what it means to fight for survival. But you humans, you never forgot. You can't forget. It's written in every cell of your bodies." Farhat looked out the medical bay's viewport at the stars beyond. "We're not dangerous because we want to be. We're dangerous because we had no choice. Earth made us earn every single day we survived." "And that," Elsa said, her voice filled with newfound understanding, "is why humans belong in the coalition. Not despite your origin, but because of it. When everything goes wrong and all seems lost, we need someone who looks at impossible odds and says, 'Not today.'" Outside, the stars wheeled in their ancient dance, indifferent to the small dramas playing out in the lives of those who sailed between them. But in that medical bay, understanding bloomed between two students from vastly different worlds, one who had always known comfort, and one whose entire species was forged in crucible of relentless hardship. The galaxy, Elsa realized, had much to learn from Earth's children, and she intended to be among the first to listen. The end.